Hello, everybody. I'm here to speak to you all about a true and clear cut American hero, and that is the 26th President of the United States, Theodore Roosevelt. I'm here today to honor Theodore Roosevelt and share what made him so tough and gritty, which then led him to be a success as a president and also in other areas of his life. A true American hero can be self defined as someone in this country whose traits consist of bravery, selflessness, and exceptionalism. Roosevelt contained all three of these traits and many more. Roosevelt set a high standard for men in his era, both physically and mentally. He suffered a lot in his life, but it always seemed to push him to be a more successful person, no matter how bad it was. I feel that I'm a dependable kind of media to share this man's story to y'all because I have a deep love for kind of our history and Theodore Roosevelt, and I've done a lot of research to make sure all of this is very true. Teddy Roosevelt is known for being a president for the people, which I love about him, and it can't be said for a lot of politicians. His progressive ideology helped start a national movement from the U.S., ultimately giving the power to the people. Roosevelt is actually a big reason that the Arizona Constitution is so progressive and radical. Although he's not totally responsible, Roosevelt was a big influence for the Arizona Constitution, establishing things like minimum wage, maximum work hours, and safe working conditions for laborers in 1912. So we could all thank Mr. Roosevelt for that before diving into his life. Teddy Roosevelt was born on October 27, 1858 in New York City. He was the second of four children born to Theodore Roosevelt Sr. and Martha Bullock. As a child, he suffered from asthma, which made it difficult for him to engage in physical activities. However, he was determined to overcome his limitations and become a strong, active individual. He began exercising regularly after being bullied by some kids when he was younger, and then that developed his love for outdoor activities such as hunting and hiking. Roosevelt was a brilliant student and excelled in his studies. He attended Harvard University where he studied natural history and became interested in politics. While at school, he found his father had passed away, which wrecked him, but it was also one of those things that kind of fueled his fire. After graduating, he attended Columbia Law School, but dropped out after his first year to pursue a career in politics. Roosevelt began his political career in 1881 when he was elected to the New York State Assembly. He quickly made a name for himself as a progressive Republican, advocating for civil service reform, better working conditions for laborers, and the conservation of natural resources. He became the governor of New York in 1898 and gained national recognition for his leadership during the Spanish-American War. In 1898, the same year, Roosevelt resigned from his position as Assistant Secretary of the Navy, a position appointed to him by President William McKinley to organize a cavalry regiment called the Rough Riders. As the colonel of the Rough Riders, Roosevelt led them into several battles, including the famous charge of San Juan Hill. Roosevelt's military service helped him establish his reputation as a fearless leader and contributed to his eventual rise to the presidency. Roosevelt became President of the United States in 1901 after the assassination of President William McKinley. He was the youngest person to ever hold office at the age of 42. During his presidency, Roosevelt made significant contributions to American society. He championed progressive policies such as the regulation of big business, the protection of consumers, and the conservation of natural resources, which was a part of his campaign in politics in New York. He also negotiated the end of the Russo-Japanese War, earning him a Nobel Peace Prize in 1906. Roosevelt's legacy continues to impact American society today. He was a pioneer in the conservation movement and established national parks and forests, which have been preserved for future generations. He also set the stage for progressive reforms that would shape American politics for decades to come. Roosevelt's Square Deal policy, which promoted fairness and equality, laid the groundwork for future social programs such as Social Security and Medicare, two things that we use a century later. I have spoken to you all today about the heroics of an American great and his childhood of being beat up to living a strenuous life. His accomplishments through college education, his early view on Republican politics, his courageousness in the Spanish-American War, and his success in a spontaneous presidency, and the legacy of an example he left for future in America. In a time where greed was very popular, Roosevelt made sure that the people were taken care of and had the equal opportunity to strive forward in life. Thank you all for listening, and I hope you all kind of admire him a little more like I do. Thanks.